Hi guys, welcome back to Street and Sour Soccer. Man City 4, Wolves 1. I was gonna say the scoreline doesn't reflect the game, but I mean after that we can't forget the first half. They absolutely dominated us. Fair scoreline.
Yeah, I'd say so, mate. To be honest, I think we're lucky, weren't we, not to be probably three down in the first 25. Look, Nuno talks about how we have our style and we don't adjust to it. The problem with that is the first 20 minutes we literally just sat back off them, let them
Yeah,
play the game. Kevin De Bruyne just tore us apart. And yeah, to be honest, we just let them play the game. Um, about the 25 minute, we started to finally press them, and things started to look better. But yeah, I think to start off with how we didn't press, we allowed them to play the game. I think that was really criminal, and I don't care if that is our style of play. I think that was an absolutely stupid way to set up.
really sloppy, wasn't it? Even when we came into the game in the second half. I mean, the first again, it's just another game of two halves. How many times have we said that? If we played at 40% the capacity we played in the second half, who knows what could have happened? It was just a bit of a capitulation at the end, but just sloppy. Everyone on the pitch must have given the ball away multiple times today, and in previous seasons that was very unlike us. We're not renowned for being a possession based team, but when we had possession, we worked well with it. But this season, just the passes weren't coming off, and when you haven't got the ball for 4 or 5 minutes at a time, when you do get the ball, they were so nervous. They just didn't want to lose it, and
Yeah, definitely.
you know, uh, we didn't get into their final third until the 18th minute.
It doesn't even surprise me. I mean, I think Dendonka had an absolute shocker today.
Again,
He
again.
again playing out of position. Although I'd probably go as far to say if we want to achieve what the owners want to achieve, I don't think Dendonka's really good enough for the squad. In my opinion,
Not even as a squad player for midfield role.
not really. I don't think he does much for me. I don't think he's a great
Is
defensive
he one of those
midfielder.
players?
I don't really see him as a box to box. I just see him as one of those players a bit like Sice that might be good to have around, but no, not for me. I mean, look, the own goal, 14th minute. If he's better positioned there, that doesn't end up like being like that. I think he actually got out strengthened by Sterling, or Sterling just was really well, positioned himself really well. But Dendonka for me, even though slightly unlucky with the own goal because he had to commit. For me, if you're not in that position in the first place, you wouldn't have to commit to put it in the back of the net if you positioned yourself properly.
I mean,
I think I think
I
there
must
was
agree.
then.
I disagree with that. I'll be honest. I don't believe Dendonka had a good game, and I'll come on to one of the goals later. Um, well, actually, I'll bring it up in a minute. But I think for the first goal, whether his positioning is correct or not, it's just a great ball. There's not much he can do. Johnny gets caught in between two minds as to whether to push Bernardo Silva or hang back for Mahrez. I think it was Bernardo Silva. He was just hanging around all game in that pocket around about 5-10 yards off the box. But he has to commit for that first goal. If he doesn't, you see the replay where it shows the perfect line behind Mahrez. If he doesn't dive in, it comes off
Yeah, I
Sterling's
know he
shin.
I know he had to dive in, but I think he should have been better positioned in the first place, so he didn't have to dive in.
He has got two defenders in front of him, both Cody and Sice.
Yeah, but
Can
if
they
you
not
if you
push
if you
across
watch
even
it
more?
back, Sterling actually like pushes him out of position to get into the position that Sterling was in.
Yeah, I mean,
For me, it was really not good enough. I thought, we might as well just cover all the positioning in one go. Semedo, I think it was for the was it for the second or the I think it was the second, wasn't it? Semedo. Um,
oh, he kept Carl Walker on side
yeah,
him.
not keeping the
Yeah,
line.
yeah,
That
he
happened
stepped on.
several times with whether it was Sice, whether it was Dendonka, whether it was Semedo, whether it was Hoover, who I don't want to put too much emphasis on him because I think
Younger
for
game. Mm.
he was called on to play against City.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but
I mean, to be honest, that's the problem when you play a back five, especially a back five that hasn't been playing together for a very long time and chopping and changing with Bowley and then Donker, Kilman and Sice and Ait Nuri. When you've got five defenders in that back line, you're giving yourself that extra 20% chance of a player just not stepping out. And I don't think it helped him having to play. I mean, he was playing as a right wing forward for the first half, so a lot of changes today, both in not in terms of lineup, but I mean for the whole season, we've had a lot of changes in that back line. We've changed the game, the formation during the game as well. There was just errors all over the pitch today, wasn't there? I will give it Nuno though. He did change it at half time, and we came out a completely different team. You can't really go in on it too much. We're playing arguably. People are saying it could be the greatest team in the Premier League history. What? And I said this to you before we came on. There was only one assist today, and that was Matinho. Their
yeah.
4 goals were either deflections or it comes off someone or right place, right time from their players. So, they didn't, although they cut us open all game, none of their goals were because they put together 30, 40 pass moves. Do you know what I mean?
In a way, although I do think, they were constantly passing the ball, moving it well. Deflections sometimes happen just because the defence has been that torn apart, which I kind of think was the case. The other thing that I really didn't like was the fact that, not only did City have better players, they showed a way better mentality. And bear with me on this one. The perfect example of that was when I think it happened around, I've got it noted down as the 34th minute. Sterling loses the ball with Neto coming onto the attack. Sterling's reaction isn't just to stand there, throw his hands up like a Dharma would do or Neto would do, or have a go at the ref when there's nothing to have a go at the ref about. His mentality is, right, I'm going to get that ball back, which he does. He then gets it back off Neto. And what happens? Neto stands there. Oh no, I've lost the ball. He doesn't try and chase it back. That happened numerous times with both Neto and Adama.
We know that's a staple of Adama's game, though. He's always done that.
It's not good enough. I mean, it's okay being beaten by quality. It's not good enough by being beaten by mentality.
I don't disagree. I mean, I actually made that exact same point in the group. I said, I hope Neto isn't getting a bit too big for his boots now with all this media attention, thinking, am I playing with a bunch of clowns? Because I know the exact moment you're talking about, and he throws his arms in the air, and I messaged the group at that exact point. And
I didn't actually read it, but the group. But
well, someone said he might just be disappointed in himself, but
I don't care. You don't show that. You show that disappointment by doing what Sterling did and go and win the ball back. So no, I really wasn't impressed with that either, to be honest. The one positive, great ball in by Matinho for the goal. Obviously, you want
another
to see
90 minutes as well. Another 90-minute game.
You want to see him doing more of that as well, playing more, because our set pieces have been weak this season. We need to, we need to see more of that. And obviously, it was good to see Cody get a goal. And I think for those. For those 15 minutes, I think we had some real optimism that we're gonna do something.
Yeah, I mean, we'll jump onto the play ratings because I mean we could talk about City all day. They must have had 15 different formations today. At one point, I swear they were playing a 2-3-5. So I'm pretty sure Guardiola didn't know what formation they were playing at times. But move on to Rui, and I'm just gonna say straight away, again, he's my man of the match.
Yeah, I agree, which is weird for someone that's conceded 4 goals, but yeah, definitely.
7 or 8. I mean, some of the saves, that one, I think it was towards the end, he saves it with his right foot. I think it was Jesus, whips it across goal. He made 2 or 3 from Riyad Mahrez alone.
The one in the first I was going to say the first couple of minutes, wasn't it? That the Sterling also saves it with his foot.
I'll give him an 8.
Yeah, I gave him an 8 as well. If you've been super critical, I think it might have been the Jesus goal, which I lose track now. That was the 4th one, wasn't it? Yeah, the 4th goal.
The last one.
Jesus one. Maybe he could have pushed that wide of his post rather than pushing it back into the direction of Jesus. If you're being super critical, but I think he had an absolutely brilliant game, to be honest, Patricio, and he's kind of unlucky to be going in having conceded 4 goals, especially with how we let it slip at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's move on to Hoover. I've given him a 6. It was a hard game to play, wasn't it? Especially for someone that's not had many minutes. I mean, the one thing I've said about Hoover is he looks a great player and he's going to be great in the future, but not the best position at the moment. And I just think he got exploited so many times on that. He looked a bit better on the right side, but it got even worse when obviously Johnny came off and he had to switch to the left, which probably isn't his natural side anyway. Which I felt quite sorry for him with that, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give him a 6 as well. I mean, there's a few more players that I want to spend more time on. He had that cross in the first half. I think it was the first time we got into there.
Not a great ball.
Just not a great ball. He must have just got altitude sickness because we were just, nowhere near them in the first half. So yeah, I'll mirror a 6. Move on to Seiss. Again, I was happy with Seiss today. I don't think he had a bad game. It's going to be hard when you concede 4. If you don't watch the game, you think he's had a stinker, but I think I'll give him a 6. He made a few good blocks, let a few people run off him, but I mean, these players are going to do this to some world-class teams in the Champions League this season, so I'll give him a 6, and I don't really want to say much more about him.
I gave Seiss a 6, and I think you've covered everything that needs to be said. Wasn't a perfect performance, but I don't think he had a stinker either, so yeah, 6 as well. Cody, I've actually given a 7, and he's my highest scoring defender. Obviously, he got the goal.
Yeah.
I think he had a pretty good defensive game as well.
He did. A few good blocks as well.
Yeah, good blocks. Didn't really do too much wrong, which is odd because 2 of the 3 centre-backs we've now said haven't done too much wrong, but when we've conceded 4, look, they maybe let themselves down towards the end, but I thought Cody had a really good game, to be honest, and as you said, the blocks as well. So I gave Cody a 7.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to be giving our lowest rating of an outthought player to the next player, then Donker. I mean, you blame him for the first goal or more than I do, so your rating might be a little lower. I mean, I'm going to give him a 3. Not for the first goal. I thought I was too critical for the last goal that goes in. I think it was Riyad Mahrez. They all came in such a quick space. I think it was Mahrez's, and it comes off him. It won't go down as an own goal because it was going on target, but he was almost on our goal line, facing the back of the net.
Away. Yes, I saw that.
But then as he turns around, he sees Mahrez about to come onto it, and he starts turning back. And at that point, I thought, no, I slated Bowley for giving Big Sam a high 5 and laughing as though he hadn't seen him for 10 years after the Baggies lost. That's a joke. I know we can't help their wages and things like that, but when you're playing for a Premier League team and you haven't cracked it, you're not guaranteed in the league for many years to come. You're on a lot of money. And you're turning your back on a football. I'm sorry, I didn't do that when I was 9. And I know we all make jokes like that, but we didn't because playing for my local team down the park meant more than it seems to some of these footballers. And I think at the point when you start seeing that and you're seeing a man turn his back on a football, I just think you haven't got it. For me, that's at the point where I just thought, no. A bit like Adama at United when just didn't do much that game and he was the only one that didn't try. For me, for Donks today, I can't have a 6'3" man turn his back on a football. I'm sorry, I can't. I'll give him a 3.
Yeah, I've actually also gone for a 3. I think it would be lower if he was naturally a centre-back. I think today just confirmed everything.
I thought we'd say this, but if he was a midfielder, if he was playing in midfield today, there's still a chance he could have been in that position.
That's true.
There's no, whether he's a striker or the kit man who's been thrown on in the last minute, you don't turn your back on a football. I'm sorry, but I've lost a lot of confidence in Donks lately. And today is just,
Yeah, I gave him a 3. I think it just proved what everyone's been saying in that he's just not a centre-back, is he?
Do you reckon he's one of those players that have been masked the last couple of years, being in a better team? Do you reckon this season, I know he's playing in defence, but are we starting to see a few faults that we wouldn't have
It's a
maybe picked up.
confusing one. I think maybe if we played a three-man midfield, there might be a place for him somewhere, or maybe a team in a three-man midfield, perhaps a bit lower down in the league. I just don't think he's that good a player now. I'm really starting to. I used to think he was really good, so perhaps you're right. That he has been a bit masked. Yeah, I mean, I do blame him for the first goal. We've already been through that. He would have also been. He also would have been to blame for the disallowed goal.
Hmm.
Was it the port? Was it? It was offside.
Yes, it
Yeah,
was either.
marginally offside.
Yeah.
He would have been to blame for that, for his
Yep.
positioning again. And yeah, just so I'm not just repeating everything you said. Obviously, we've already gone through about the fact he turned his back, and I wasn't too happy with that. So yeah, I think today just proved to a lot of Wolves fans, and I think we all realise this bloke isn't going to be a centre defender, and it's just made us all realise if we really want to keep progressing, we probably need three centre backs in the summer. If we're going to
Some.
play a three at the back, if we're going to play
Yeah,
two centre backs, I still think we need another two really good ones.
I agree.
But
I
yeah,
agree.
let's move on. Let's move on to Johnny. I actually gave him a five, the lowest I've gave him since returning. I think he got very exposed on that left side today for me. I think part of that's just down to City's class,
Yeah.
particularly in the first 20 minutes. I think where I've already mentioned, I think Nuno's tactics where he played our style of just sitting back and letting them attack, and I think really didn't help him because it just allowed the likes of the midfield, De Bruyne and co, just to spread balls left, right, and centre to the wingers. So I don't think he was helped in the first 20-25, but yeah, I just don't think he had a very good game for a Johnny performance anyway.
It's hard. It really is. I mean, I'll give him a five as well. I mean, I love this guy, but if I'm going to be honest, he had a bad game today. He just got pulled from pillar to post by. I mean, we're not talking about a great team here. We're talking about arguably the best ever in our lifetime. So, I mean, Johnny rarely puts below a seven, so I don't want to say much more, but I'll give him a five. He only play. He didn't even. What minute did it come off? It wasn't that late in the.
It wasn't, no,
It
no.
was what 55th minute or something like that, give or take. But yeah. Um, Move on to the midfield. We'll start with Neves. He came off late on for Otasowi. He gave the ball away a lot again today, and you wouldn't mind if he was giving them away like Bruno does because he's trying a dangerous ball. Simple passes. He made three or four 30, 40 yard passes, and it came off well, but just seemed to give the ball away. I'm not going to go in too much on him. I'll give him a six today because he did work hard. But again, he's just playing against a team that when it's the second you get the ball, there's three players around you. What can you do? And hopefully he watches that game back 5 or 6 times and sees if he wants to be at that level, that's what he's got to do. So I mean, I'll give him a six. I think he was okay today.
Yeah, sure. I mean, look, I'll cover Neves and Matinho in one, and then obviously you can go on to your Matinho. I've gave them both sixes. To be honest, I don't know with the midfield, them being a two-man midfield, especially as you said, every time one of them got the ball, there'd be three City players on them. I think they were doing a really hard job. It's probably one of the games ideally you would have liked to see a three-man midfield, but then you'd have to sacrifice another from attack, or you'd have to sacrifice another centre back, wouldn't you? Which we obviously just can't do at the moment because they just got completely overrun. And I don't really want to really blame them for it too much because I think they were just doing an impossible job, to be honest. So yeah, just both of
Yeah,
them six for
I mean,
me.
I'll give
Martinho, credit for the ball he put in. For
great.
he played a couple of good balls in for corners as well, which he might have deserved a bit better from. A Wolves player getting the head to. So yeah, both of them sixes for me. Not too much blame.
Yeah, great ball for the assist. We've stopped doing those short corners now, it seems, thankfully, and he puts a good ball in. So yeah, I'm happy for both for six for Neves and Zhao. Um, we'll move on to Adama. I was going to say as an inverted winger again, but it seemed for a lot of the first half he did switch with Neto a bit, but he was playing as like a lone striker. We were playing almost a 5-4-1. I think he worked hard. I think
Yeah,
he just seemed to run backwards a lot when there was space in front of him. Numerous times, he would beat one man. There'd be another in front of him, maybe a Rodri or someone like that, and you think you can beat this player. There's acres of space in front of you, but he always does that thing where he just almost chops the ball in half and just stops it dead and looks backwards. And I think unless you're Perlo or Guti, play to your strengths. You haven't got the ability to do that. And again, passes today, 5-6 yard balls, just couldn't do it. He had that chance in the second half when it was 1-1.
Skied it, yeah.
No, I mean when he should have passed it to Neto, when he should have passed it.
Oh,
Neto
yes, yeah. Sorry, I was thinking of the one where he fired it 10 yards over the bar.
Oh, well, we know his shooting isn't brilliant. I know it goes against what happened against Leeds, but that is a rare one. But
yeah, I know the one you mean. He chose Semedo, didn't he, instead of playing Neto in on the left?
His decision making, you'd think the law of averages, you'd think that he would choose the right ball 1 out of 50 times, but it just seems he never does. But he worked hard today. He didn't have much to work with, let's be completely honest. I'll give him a 6 today.
Yeah, I've given him a 7 actually. I think I talked about the fact that both him and Neto at times didn't really track back or try and win the ball back enough when they lost it. I think Neto was probably a lot more guilty than Adama than that today. I think probably just said Adama because I'm used to that being said of Adama. Obviously deployed as I don't know what you want to call it, a striker, a false 9, but he was basically the main man, wasn't he, up top, out of position. Can see why Nuno did it after the last time. He just caused City a load of problems. He was probably hoping for a repeat.
He's not playing against Otamendi. That's a problem today, is he?
No, he's playing
against the best centre-back partnership in world football.
Exactly, and a confident partnership as well at the moment. I mean, yeah, it doesn't matter which of the three you play, does it really? Stones, Diaz, or the Laporte. That's the other one. But yeah, I think he had a pretty decent game. As you say, I think sometimes you want him to drive forward and he didn't. Whether that was just part of the plan, though, just to get us some time on the ball, because we really struggled, especially in the first half, to get time on the ball. So whether that was part of the plan, which he was just implementing, I don't really want to go too harsh on him on that. So yeah, I gave him a 7. I thought he had a pretty decent game. Obviously, a couple of times where you're thinking, "Oh, I finished that," or chose the wrong pass, but not a terrible game. Let's move on to Semedo, who obviously played the right wing, wasn't it, and then also a right back position. Right. Yeah. At one point, I was going to give him a 6 until the second goal, wasn't it, where he was at fault for not really staying with the defensive line. Obviously, that was quite...
The worst thing is about that, it's always worse, and this is something that Graham Souness constantly picks up on. He can see the line. He can see everyone. If Cody's out of position, or Hoover it would have been at that point in the game, or, Donks, you give them a little bit of a respite, or, you don't go in as harsh. But when you can see the whole line at this level, a top 10 Premier League team, you should never, not 1 in 1,000, you should never be playing someone on when you can see the line. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I mean, what have you gave him rating-wise?
I give him a 5, only because I think in the first half he did try to make things happen. He did help Hoover in the first half. Obviously, he's a young guy, Hoover, and he probably was shitting himself for the first 15 minutes. I mean, some of the balls that De Bruyne was playing off that left-hand side.
Oh, incredible.
It's almost as if he's teleported the ball. I still, even when I was watching the replays, I still don't believe a human being can do that with a football. It's just mind-boggling. But, I mean, I think he did help Hoover quite a bit today. He didn't leave Hoover isolated too many times. We saw him winning the ball back in that final third area. So I'll give him a 5. He's played in 2 separate positions. And I don't mean a 5 in a negative. I do mean the fact that he had a few faults in the game, kept Kyle Walker on side for the one of the goals. I think he had an okay game.
Yeah, let's move on to Neto. I don't have too much to say on him. I've actually given him a 6. I thought didn't have a special performance. Had some moments where, maybe if he gets played in by Adama, or crediting him for a great goal. he also had, he had a few moments where he did seem to bring some, emphasis to the attack. I've scored him down as a 6 just because I did feel like, and as we've mentioned it, we won't go into it too much because we've already mentioned it, but just the fact that there was just times he'd lose the ball and he just had the wrong reaction for me. I
Yeah.
wanted to see exactly when Neto lost the ball today. I wanted to see exactly what Sterling did when he lost the ball. Fight for it back, and this kind of shrug of the shoulders to go, oh, I've got no support. Although I can
Would
see
you
his,
expect would you expect Nuno to be going in on him in the next team meeting when they watch the game back tomorrow at the
I'd be
training
expecting
grounds?
more from the players. Yeah, certainly against City, especially. You can't
Do you not
afford just to have a bit of a sulk. You've got to go, I've lost the ball, right? We need to get men behind the ball and get it back. So, yeah, I'm really not happy with that part of his game
no?
today.
I think it shocks us so much because yes, sometimes we may accuse players of maybe not having the quality needed, and I've been guilty of that and have been today maybe with Donks, but we've never really accused players of throwing in the towel, especially
Yeah,
so early on in a game. Um, so I think it just grates on us that little bit more. And obviously, when it's one of your wonder kids, you don't want to see it. But yeah, I mean, he's been our bright shining light this season, so I'm not going to go in on him.
yeah. I mean, look, let's just quickly cover Silva and Otazawi. I've gone for a 6 for Silva.
Have
For
you have you rated Otasawi?
Well, I've just given him a quick. I've given him a 5, to be honest. I don't really want to go too much in on their performances, and certainly Otazawi's.
Silver, I'm going to give Silver a 7, and I'm not just saying this because I've gone in on Jose before, so I feel like I need to bump up Silver. He didn't stop running. He was giving
No
away
credit where credit's due for that. Yeah, yeah.
fouls on Cancelo, fouls on Laporte. He was
He
just
was on his back at one
naked.
point, weren't he? He literally crawled on his back.
That's exactly that's what the image I had in my head then when I was
Yeah.
talking. He was literally jumping on play. He just wanted to win the ball back, and you know, so much credit to this kid. Really, I don't. Let's not talk on him too much because he didn't have an impact with the ball, but again, just tenacious, wanted to win as much as he could. So, I wasn't going to rate Otasawi. I'll be completely honest. I mean, could be the end of his Wolves career after what happened at the end. Nuno will not like that one bit, but I mean, yeah, what
I
do you
mean,
say?
look, let's move on to Nuno because I want to cover Otazawi in the Nuno discussion, and
Right,
I feel this is probably one that's going to have quite a bit of
I'll go.
debate.
I'll go first then, just so, and then you can. I've got a feeling you're dying to say
Yeah,
something.
I am. I'm dying
Um,
to go in on him today.
I'm I'm going to give Nuno a 7
Shock!
because
That's the most stupidest thing I've heard you say since we started this.
I'm, I,
Honestly,
I'm giving Nuno a 7.
stupid.
Listen. We're 1-1 in the 75th minute against Manchester City. Atrocious first half, but how many chances did they have? They can have 137% of the ball. How many chance? The Sterling chance, the offside goal, uh, limits them to 1-1. What what do we always say about Nuno? Doesn't change things midway through a game. He doesn't make his first substitute until the 87th minute. What did he do today? Change the entire formation at half time. Personnel change soon after that. We get if this game finishes 1-1 or a 2-1 loss, I don't think you're going to go in on him as much as we are. It's not Nuno's fault that Dendonka turns into a pussy at the end and there's a few mistakes that led to goals. I think you have to look at this objectively and say he's made how many managers this season have made a tactical decision at half time, come out and it's worked against this City team and Pep Guardiola? You could argue that he outclassed Pep in the first 30 minutes of the second half because he made changes. Pep didn't until it went 1-1 down and he's called upon his £250 million bench. Let's be fair here. I mean, if you want
You
to
are
look
look.
at the game, if you want to look at this match like an armchair fan, and you look at the score, you see 4-1. Oh, going on Nuno, you do that, but
That's
he's
exactly what
done.
I'm going to do, and I'm going to risk the reasons why.
Um,
I've given him a 4.
you an embarrassment.
I'm not an embarrassment. I've given him a 4, and he deserves a 4. Um, let me just put my. You've put your points out. I'll put mine out now. Nuno for me. we're very lucky not to be 3 down in the first 25 minutes because we have our philosophy. Well, when you're playing a team like Man City, sometimes you have to change your philosophy. For the first 20 minutes, Nuno did what he always did. He set us up so we would sit back, allow them to play the football, and it's okay because we'll defend it. Well, guess what? It didn't work because they have some of the best midfielders in the world, and all they did was completely tear apart our midfield. They tore apart our defence, they tore apart our midfield. That tactic that Nuno chose, and that's how he chose to play the game for the first 20 minutes. And it was clear that he changed it around the 25th minute because suddenly we started pressing them. We're very lucky not to be 3-0 down at that point, and you were saying he's had an absolute disaster class. They tore us apart. We looked embarrassing. We had about 10% possession at that point as well.
That Laporte goal came well after that. That came in like the 44th minute or something.
I still think we were lucky not to be 2 or 3 down.
They had more chances after we changed it after the 25th minute. Up until the 20th minute, yes, they had like 91% possession or something stupid, but they only had the Sterling chance. They played a lot of football, but they'll probably do that against Barcelona if they get them in the Champions League. You know, I don't really know. And okay, let's take that point. At least he's changed it. How many managers?
Yeah, okay, I'll give him credit for. I'll give him credit for changing it. Look, you credit him for bringing on Silva. That was a forced change.
In what respect?
Well, it was a forced change because Johnny needed to come off because he, obviously he played 90 minutes last game and he could only manage 55. This wasn't some masterclass tactical change.
So he's took off a left back and brought on a striker against Man City. He could have brought on Bowley.
What's he done in return? He's took off Johnny and put Hoover, who's an 18-year-old who was already struggling on his natural right side. He's gone and shoved him over to the left so he could struggle even more.
So you're saying he should have brought maybe an Aït-Nouri on and took off a Hoover or someone like maybe put a position a left back there.
Yeah, I would have brought on a left back. Yeah, I mean,
or bring in Bowley and push Saiss out to the left. But don't forget, Hoover's already in the game. He's already played 50, 60 minutes at this point. Why bring on another 19-year-old?
Because positionally he was already struggling.
Yeah, but he's already in the game. He knows the tempo. He's kind of finding it. Don't forget, at this point it's 1-1. Give or take, I think it was 1-1 at that point. So
no, it was 1-0 at the time, weren't it?
1-0. Yes, that's right. So we're only 1-0 down. Why would he bring off a player that's just taken a 60-minute onslaught, 55-minute onslaught from Man City for? It's not like he's bringing on a Leighton Baines, someone that's been playing for 15 years. He's going to bring on an Aït-Nouri or someone like that into a game against Man City. I find that very.
Well, that's exactly what he did in the 89th minute, which was even more pointless, and that's brilliantly licked in my last point. We've all been demanding to see more of Otazawi. The player, the last time he played, he missed that chance against Brighton. So he introduces him in the 89th minute against Man City. It's his first minutes for quite a long time because, first team, and I don't think he's even been deployed in the under-23s at the moment because he's been sitting on obviously sitting on our bench. So
he hasn't done that to try and win the game. We were 3-1 down at that point. I think he said, "Listen, mate."
No, we were 2-1 down at that point because the third goal is his fault, if you remember.
Was it not the last goal?
No, it's third goal that was his fault, I think. But anyway, regardless, that's not my point. Yeah. What are you doing to that player's confidence? Why put him in that moment? Why not play him against? I'd rather have seen him deployed for 20 minutes against Villa. You've just raised a very good point yourself here. Don't bring on Aït-Nouri because it'll take him time to get into the game. So you've gone and thrown Otazawi in the 89th minute.
There's a big difference.
There isn't a difference at all because he has no time to get into the game. He's not really been brought on to. So what have you brought him on for? Just to completely wreck his confidence? Well done. You saw how he reacted after that goal. Well done, Nuno. You've managed to stumble on another player's development there. Well done.
Well, I think there's a big difference between bringing a player on in the 55th minute, 60th minute.
Yeah, there is, because at that point that player can have an impact on the game. On the 89th minute, he's not, and all it's done is wreck his confidence. So well done.
But this is a point I'm making. Maybe, listen, we might look back on this and think making that mistake could have been the making of him. Maybe, he's going to get a bollocking from that. People are going to start saying things from the dressing room. He knows that he can't play around in our box with the football if we're playing against Burnley or Fulham, never mind Manchester City. So this could be a great learning curve for him. I'd rather him make that mistake now, today, than 1-1 against Villa next week or Liverpool on the Monday night in a couple of weeks. I'd rather him do that in the 89th minute.
Look, I mean, I see your point, but I don't. I mean, I don't agree. But yeah, yeah, guys.
Nuno 4 today. I'm sorry. How long's this video gone on?
That's why I'm trying to close it off.
No, I don't see how you can give Nuno 4 today. I mean, that's the guy's made 2 or 3 mid-game changes in terms of tactics, formation, personnel. He gets us back in the game at 1-1. I mean, apart from a few silly. I think you're blaming Nuno for potential, well, not potential because it happened, but mistakes that happened in the back line. Most of our goals today were defenders' faults, whether it be Semedo playing on Walker, Donks. If that game finishes 2-1 or 1-1, Nuno's not getting a 4 from you.
I'm more angry at the Otazawi sub. That really angered me because I just didn't see why he's brought him on against Man City.
So if he brings him on in the 89th minute, it's 1-1, and we see the game out 1-1. Does Nuno get a 4? Or do you go on a Nuno masterclass rant giving him an 8? Be honest.
He'd probably get... I still wouldn't been happy with how he pressed in that.
Oh, okay. So 20 teams before today have all lost in a row to Man City. We get a 1-1 draw. Otazawi comes on in the 89th minute. We draw 1-1. Are you telling me you give Nuno a 4?
He would have got a 6. Maybe.
A 6 for a 1-1 draw against Man City?
Yeah, because I think I would have given credit to the players more than him.
Oh, well.
I still think he had faults, but yeah, guys, look, this is the first one we've disagreed on in a while. Let us know what you think.
You look at the scorelines. Your scorelines.
Let's leave it there. People aren't going to watch this.
I'm going to get a drink. I can't listen to this.
Right, guys, let us know what you think. As always, hit the like, subscribe, and leave us some comments. And I guess I'll catch you on the next one. And so will James. Bye.